Next Level Live. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you for tuning in. Andrew, thank you for letting us do. This is our first on the road Next Level Live.
Yep.
So all of them have been in Connecticut like the entire time. Y'all have a pretty nice setup here in Vegas. Yep. Ben, thank you for joining us. Where were the crickets, though? Because you told me that there were crickets everywhere. Were you making that up?
No.
Were there crickets everywhere?
Grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers.
Yeah. Thousands everywhere.
And they're just now just gone?
I'll show you a picture after we get on.
Really? The guy in the plane was like, hey, you got to watch out for the grasshoppers. And I'm like, say that again out loud. Like, I have to watch out for the grasshoppers. What are the big bad grasshoppers going to do to me? You know what I mean? So it's, but I appreciate it. And then we got Jack and Trey who are going to be joining us. Satellite, you'll be watching them in their video and their training. But I want to get right to it because first of all, this intrigued me. What is this, Andrew?
So that bell, every time someone books an appointment in here, they have a bell on their desk and they ring it.
So you hear this all day long. Yeah. It's like positive peer pressure. Everybody's moving. And what we were talking about, and I want to kind of talk about this, Andrew, a little bit with you, and then I want to hear from Ben about where he's at and what's going on and what we're doing from a production standpoint. But, you know, you think about being, how old are you?
I just turned 30.
30. So I remember when you were like the youngest of everybody around the entire company you used to work at. 30 years of age. This is a building that you now own. People that you employ and agents in here just doing very, very well for themselves. So that's the thing, Ben. It's, we were talking about that earlier. It's like I always like people go like, my goal one day is to make X. And I'm like, I don't, my goal one day is to see how many people we can positively impact. You know, if every time you employ somebody, you positively impact somebody because their family's income depends on your job you provide. I mean, it might be a dual income, or whether it's part-time, full-time, their income is reliant upon you. The agents that we hire, the agents that we train, what they're doing. I mean, when you look at what we did in July, like usually I'll never admit in our staff meetings in Connecticut that we have a dip. Like Mike Sizer go, we went backwards a little bit. I go, what? We did not go back. Like I just can't in my mind. And so the summer we always dipped a little bit. I called it a level off, but it was people are busy. They go on vacation, very well earned. But when do you go on vacation? During the summer. Yeah. I mean, you don't go during the middle of school year if your kids are in school. And if they're not, weather-wise, you probably don't, depending on where you live. And so we usually take a little bit of a dip. We just hit a record in July of $8 million issue paid in life. And now we're going to do $9 million a month by the end of the year and $10 million a month by the end of the first quarter. So for me, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing, and I want to get to you as a producer. And I know you're building a team, right?
Yes.
Not easy.
Not easy.
What has been the biggest obstacle for you, do you believe?
I mean, I'm good at answering my phone, but just always trying to like keep a positive mental attitude with agents when they're going through a tough time and just try to, you know, keep them on the right track and understand that sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it. And you have days where, you know, it sucks, but if you go the next day, then it usually turns out all right.
I was raised in a mentorship deal in real estate. I got my license when I was 22 or 3. Okay. And I was selling real estate, and then thankfully, my manager, Gail, who was a very nice lady, she was 60, you know, I'm in my 20s, and I just really had a hard time. We'd sit down with these sales meetings every Friday, and they'd ask me to come in. We had this like really nice table, and we all sat there and shared ideas, and it was very weird to me. But I was new to the business, so I thought maybe this is what they do, just hang around, eat donuts, drink coffee, and talk about stuff, because I don't think we're accomplishing anything. And there was a gentleman in there in the office one day, Frank, and I sought him out, and I said, Frank, can I ask you why you don't go to the sales meetings? Because Frank, I go to sales meetings. Frank sells a lot of real estate. And I can't say what he said to me, okay, but he said, I don't waste my time with those beep and beep. I go to work. That's what I do. Y'all want to, that's what he said to me. Y'all want to sit in there and hold hands and talk about what might happen? I go to work. You want the best sales advice? He said, go to work. You have any clients? Go find some. You don't know who to list a house with or who to list a house for? Walk down the street. He said, sphere of influence, what does that even mean? Talk to people. Go to work. And I'll never forget. So I gradually started like I literally would stalk him. Like he couldn't. And Frank was 70, but he was very successful. Been doing it for a long time. And I would just wear him out by asking him questions, but I listened really well. And I really learned. And then when I started hiring agents, because he had a good group, when I started hiring agents, I was doing what he was doing, which was, hey guys, I'm more than willing to answer the phone for you. Trust me. But I can't have the same conversation over and over again. And I will never answer the same question twice. I can't. That'd be a waste of my time and yours, because you'd either be shopping the answer or you're just trying to have a communication with me. I'm here for you. But you didn't close somebody, go run another appointment. I'll address something if I can find something in your in-home presentation. But the reality is it usually comes down to get more uncomfortable, be more assertive, be more direct. Now, I know that they could be analogous, but be more direct and make sure you're empathetic to the client's situation. If they know how much you care and how much you're willing to get uncomfortable and put them first, it puts everybody at ease. So real estate was no different. We had to go out and sell a listing, right? Listen, I wouldn't do it again. It took me 5, 6, 7 months to sell something. Sometimes it just fell through in the last day. It wasn't an hour. That's what I love about life insurance. But Ben, I think one of the things you'll have to get really good at is your communication. And a lot of that is setting your boundaries up front, right? Like really saying, okay, let me explain how this is going to work. Let me explain the process that we're going to have. It's not because I'm not willing to help or I'm too busy. It's because I don't want to waste your time or mine. Your time or mine. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, what's the number one question? You got to keep me on track time-wise. Yep. What's the number one question that you get asked by agents you're working with?
What lead should I use?
Okay, what's your answer?
I mean, typically I'll say Facebook, but I mean, I tell them any lead.
Right.
Like, don't.
Hey, first, here's a good answer. Any lead, right? What's your cash flow like?
Correct.
You know, it's like people like, we should get a carrier that doesn't require E&O. So you want a carrier that doesn't require errors and emissions insurance, which costs nothing a month. And then if something happens and you're an agent, I mean, anything happens, you wouldn't want the insurance? Like, I'm a believer in insurance. We sell insurance. I believe in it. The only time I don't take insurance is playing blackjack because I just can't stomach go and give my money. But it's different. It's not really insurance. It's a game. You know what I mean? But in life, how do I not take insurance? So for us, I think it's what is your cash flow like? And then what I mean is what is really your cash flow? Now, when I started in life insurance, I was working in real estate, had a job. I didn't have a lot of money, but I certainly had disposable $1,000 or $2,000. But I also have looked at myself at any point in my life, no matter what was going on with my mom or how we were raised, if I needed to find a way to come up with 30, 40, 50, $200, $300, $500, I could come up with it. It was just about going to work. I could always go do something else. So I think you got to find out where people are at. And I think it's the way you communicate, right? Like, say to me, if I'm the agent, I ask you, what kind of leads should I buy? Give me your answer.
I'll say Facebook leads.
Say it like you say it. Ben, what kind of leads should I buy?
Facebook leads.
Okay. How many? Why should I do that?
I use John Wetmore's analogy. Like, the more attempts that you have, the better chance you have at getting your investment back.
So if I'm training you and I'm in charge of your success temporarily, I'm not in charge of you, you're an independent contractor, but I'm in charge of your success. If I talk to you the way I talk to you, you start to pay attention. It becomes hypnotic on some level. That's how you should be talking to people. And I just mean by your assertiveness. Now, by nature, you're pretty laid back, which is great. And it's great with clients because you've learned to push and then pull. But with the agents, I might only have 5, 6, 7 minutes. Okay. And I can enter into a 45-minute conversation by accident. Or a 12-minute conversation, right? You've done that. Or a 20-minute conversation. Yeah. Before you know it, you're like, I've been 20 minutes. And it's not that I don't want to spend, I just can't spend that much time with everybody all day when I'm in your position. I can't do it. Yeah. I physically don't have the time to do it. So like when we started the company, I was joking with Mike Kilmet today. I was like, he's asking about this guy, and I'm like, he's like, I think he's trying to grow it. I'm like, well, I can't help him because in 5 years, I probably talked to him 14 times. Well, I probably talked to you 756,000 times. He's like, probably more than that. We were laughing because when we started, I talked to him 8, 9, 10, 12, because he was so busy and there was so much to do with him. But we were never talking about the same thing over and over again, even if he didn't like the answer. Like if he didn't enjoy one aspect, let's say he didn't enjoy confronting an agent about something. Even though he may not have enjoyed it, I'm just throwing something out there, he wouldn't come back to me and ask me the question again. He might not do it the way, but so for you, it's the way in which we speak, the way in which we communicate our message. And when you're talking, when you're making small talk and you're building a relationship, that's one thing. But when they start to, I don't know, Ben, this seems like a lot, your posture changes. It has to. Then all of a sudden you step up a little bit, right? You become a little more assertive and you're kind of in the game. And now you're taking control because you've learned to do it in the home. And you can't do it the second you walk in because that's belligerent. Yeah. You hear, that doesn't work. They're like, you out. You hear, you get out. You can't take the remote, turn TV off until you've taught them for a little bit of time. And you're like, hey, guys, I can't concentrate. My mind races all the time. I mean, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and just turn this thing off. So what is something how much are you going to issue pay this year?
250.
Okay, 250. What did you do last year?
163.
And how long you been with us? What did you do the year before?
102.
102. So getting better every year.
Yeah.
Okay. What would be one or two things you'd attribute? Because you have an army of people out there that would love. By the way, when I first got life insurance, I would have loved to do that. Was my goal, 250.
Yeah.
I got my life insurance license after the first year. I was part-time for a while. And I was like, dude, if I can do 250. I mean, we got people that mess the numbers up. I mean, in a good way. They do some numbers, you're like, good God. You know, right, Andrew? You're like, what the heck? Like, I mean, you know, Jonathan Porcine sent me a text the other day. I beat your all-time record. I'm like, I did that like 1 month. You're probably going to do it like the next 12. Like, it's not, I don't know. Like, he's like LeBron James. I'm not mad at him, but like, oh my God. He's like, I issued 83 grand for the month. I'm like, life insurance? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I was working like a dog to do 80 grand when we launched the company. I was scared to death. So God bless you. You know what I mean? Because he's definitely got more money today than I had when we launched the company. There's no doubt about that. What are a couple of things you'd attribute your success to? Because that's quite successful, the growth you've had.
Well, my problem in the beginning was I was always chasing mortgage protection leads no matter what. Like, it was just like, oh, final expense was just kind of like something that wasn't, I wanted mortgage. And then when I started seeing these other producers putting up numbers and they were doing it off final expense and it's way more predictable, that's when I kind of started going, all right. And then when I went to Connecticut with you, you're like, dude, the most consistent thing in your business needs to be your lead flow. And me, I was playing the, let me resolve all these leads. Let me, you know, door knock them before I order new leads. And it's like, you're right. Like, you need to have numbers to call every single time you're getting ready to sit down and dial.
Well, I was very blessed, I think, because when I started, we didn't have mortgage leads. Matter of fact, we had a card that I wouldn't call much of a lead. It said, like, so it just, I didn't like it. You know what I mean? It was, I've had them all. Yeah. You know, here's your Walmart gift card, or here's your free, I don't. So we were like, it was just how many times I can get in front of people. But what's funny, when I got introduced to mortgage, I was kind of the opposite. I was like, wait a minute, because final expense I had zero, I was not remotely confused by it. You're this age, you get this product, it stays the same rate. So I'm kind of coming to the mortgage business too, like this. I loved it, like it stays the same rate till the day you die. It doesn't run out as long as you make the payments. And when you die, you get this much. Period, end of story. That was it. Unless it was graded, I had to explain the first 2 years. Other than that, here you go. You have the contestability period for 2 years. That's it. Like, I really got it. And the people that filled it out needed it. Because what I found was, even if they had some, I love people like, well, they had insurance. Dude, they had 10 grand. Like, you never could be too much insurance. Because no beneficiary I've ever met, heard of in 10, 11 years now has ever said, that was way too much money. I just wish y'all hadn't done that much, you know? And I had an experience early where we had an agent come in and talk about her dad dying, not having enough money, and her mom committing suicide after that. I was just like that changed the way it could. She was like, I mean, she was young. I mean, she was like 20. I was like 35, and I still hadn't had a death claim. I just started, and she was just like, and she's crying and telling us the story. And I'm like, oh, I'm never, ever going to say that. Nobody has enough. There's no such thing as too much life insurance. There's no way. It doesn't make any sense because you're going to die. So there's no way that it's too much, you know. Consistent lead flow, so you're doing Facebook, final expense, all that.
Yeah.
Final expense you also can meet with whenever you want. This is something I didn't, like, everybody's doing mortgage. I'm like, dude, I got appointments all day long, final expense. You know what I loved about final expense? I'm a morning person. Do you know my first appointments when I ran final expense?
7:30.
6. Oh, God, no, I tried to do 5. I did 5 a couple times. I mean, dude, I'm older, right? But, like, I mean, like, older people I knew growing up got up early. Like, my grandparents got up like 4:30. They weren't going to work. They didn't work anymore, but they got up at like 4:30 because I know I'd like be at their house. And then I just realized, like, well, so you just kind of get that up, they go to sleep earlier and then wake up earlier, you know? And I started getting that groove of going, if I can get a 6 and a 7, I didn't make anybody do it. I didn't say my first offer is 6 a.m., but as they talk about their day, and didn't work every time, I'd go, hey, no, we're kind of busy tomorrow, got appointments all day. What's your first appointment? 8 a.m., first thing in the morning. God, you want to do 6? Yeah, 6 will work. Sometimes you're like, no, 6, but I mean, you'd be 6 a.m. That's great. I'll go for 5. I'll meet you at 4 a.m. Whatever you want to do. I mean, it doesn't. So I love that aspect of what we do. And Facebook's changed the game for us. I mean, it was, we had a fire going with this. That was gasoline. It was a gallon of gas, gallons of gas, hundreds of millions. I mean, it's ridiculous. So we really haven't even begun to scratch the surface of what we can do. I think we've done a very good job with basically getting out of the way and saying anybody who's a good lead, like we've learned that social insurance leads very good at Facebook leads. Mail Pro is very good at Facebook leads. Secure Agent Mentor, good. We have a couple that have like added on, like, hey, we got some. Okay, try them. If they work, they work. We don't get them wherever you want. I mean, But just make sure you get them somebody that's reputable and delivers the leads and does what they say they're going to do. And, you know, so those 3 we can stand behind because we've, you know, watched them do it. And they stand up to what they, but you can just print them. You know, I mean, what Facebook has done in general has revolutionized business. I mean, you think that, I know people think we're, you know, a big deal what we're doing. Like there's so, you'd be shocked what companies pay Facebook hourly, daily, weekly. We don't even scratch the surface. What about one more thing, Ben? Leads have been huge. What about one more thing? How about in the home? Something you've done in the home.
I've just been more direct. Like, I just understand that me being shy or me, like, cowering down when they kind of give me an objection is hurting them.
Correct.
And so I've definitely gotten a lot more bold in the home. I don't let people push me around anymore. And people respect that. Even there's been times where I haven't made sales, but I could tell they were just like, I went on an appointment the other day, and the lady was a tax lady, and I said, hey, what kind of policy do you have? And she's like, I don't know. I said, let's call him right now. And she's like, oh, I'm busy doing something else. And I just said, with all due respect, ma'am, like if somebody comes into a tax appointment and you're asking for something, would you tell them, hey, would you be okay with them saying they're too busy right now? And she was just kind of like drawing back, but she didn't want to call. And I was just like, you know, I wasn't going to.
That's a good way to think about it. The reality really is, and it's like when you raise kids, the same deal. It's hard not to be the friend, especially now teenagers. By the way, my daughter's getting a license. 18 yes. This term. She's going to be doing this. Oh yeah, I got an army of them coming up. Her, all her friends, all the kids I coach on my son's team. The other day we were at the school, and remember were that you that day? Oh yeah, they're all like, get it. I'm getting my license, Mr. Shawn, coach. I'm like, all right, get it. You get in that class. You're 18, get in class.
I was like, geez, he's hiring everybody.
I got them all, man. They're coming up. You know.
Why not?
Why not? Well, why not? You know, and what I said to, you know, whenever they ask me, that's a good point. Whenever they ask me, knowing nothing, right? They're young, they're in high school yet, and they say, can I do it? And I go, if you'll put other people's needs ahead of yours, you can. Because people will always receive what you're saying if they believe you're genuinely concerned about them. And when the rubber meets the road, if you will, in the appointment, if you reach back down inside and go, you know what? I'm hurting them if I don't say anything. That's when you kind of give your own blessing, right? Because a lot of us are raised in a way where, you know, Mike Sizer, I use all the time. Mike Sizer's go-to was, well, you know, I just have a hard time being direct with them. And then, you know, you peel away the onion, you realize Dad's a Marine and a cop, and he was raised to be insanely respectful of people that were his elders, whether they were 5 years elder or 40 years elder.
Same.
Yeah, I wasn't raised that way. My mom was never home. I got to figure it out by watching TV and watching other people. So telling somebody, confronting somebody didn't seem like that big a deal to me. I was like, y'all going to die soon. Like, why don't we, I love you, but like, good God. And I could die before you. I mean, like, we're all like here. It's fallible. Like let's do this thing. But I think that's part of what you have to impose on the agents too. And you always need to talk about that.
Okay.
The longer it takes them to change, the more dangerous it's going to be for them. You know, and that's just, I think, hey, that's what I would say. Hey, when I first started, I would say this. When they said this, I would say this. Now I say this. 3 years ago, when somebody would say, you know, I'm too busy right now, you would try to find another time to meet with them because they were in control. Right. Now you go, with all due respect, if you don't mind me saying, with all due respect, you know, all that kind of stuff. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So as long as you're doing all that, it changes everything. So, well, I love it. You're going to build a big team. I'm excited.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm excited too.
Andrew, tell me about the office goals. What did you guys issue in July?
1.71.
When are you going to hit 2?
This month, I'm hoping 2 million.
Hoping? You think
we will? We'll hit 2 million.
But you think it's a legitimate shot? Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying, you know. And you think about how much volume that really is. And you think about how many people are growing and doing what they're doing. This might sound crazy, but we're trying to get to a point, Ben, by the end of the first quarter, where we're paying bonuses monthly of $500,000. Wow. That's crazy, right? One of our goals is to pay the people that have a team VP and above in excess of $6 million in 2020 for bonuses, just non-chargebackable bonuses. And I know it sounds, but that excites me. And number one, it's $6 million more than most everybody else pays because most of them don't pay anything. And it always makes me laugh. Like, how do you recruit? Well, they pay a lot less, and we pay a lot more, and we pay bonuses, and they don't. We don't have lead override, and they do. And you're in, I don't know, there's like 804 things that I say to people that seem to work out pretty well about the model that we have. Then we have great people like you guys training and who are willing to give back and support and stand by the people you're in business with. I think that's, you know, one of the things for me is that's really what I'm big on that team aspect. You know, being able to tell people what they need to hear, how they need to hear it. Maybe not what they want to hear, but how they need to. You know, being able to have those healthy relationships, business wise, where we're all charging together. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So $2 million. Andrew? How many writing agents is that?
That's about 300.
So 300. So that's very palatable as well. It doesn't take. You guys are contracting quite a few now. What do you think has been the biggest thing you've done? Because your contracting has led the way for the last 4 or 5, 6 months with the company. And that's just, you know, facts to fact. It's not like, it doesn't mean Tom's great or Tim's terrible. It's just your contract is leading the way. I mean, if we go outside and race in the parking lot, everybody in this building will beat me. If there's anybody in the building that I've never seen, they're going to beat me too. I'm the slowest person in the building, or I don't care if he's 87. He's probably going to beat me. I'm just slow. I don't run. You know what I mean? And there's things I do well. You know, we all have things that you guys have really figured out contracting. What do you think is because it's recruiting's one thing.
Yeah.
Contracting the agents. And then you've also obviously figured out getting them paid because you're knocking the door of $2 million. And last December, what did you do? Do you remember what you were?
Last December, we were like 700-800.
So, I mean, that's a true double. That'd be really strong by then. It might be more by the end of the year. What are some things you're doing to locate, motivate?
Sure. So we're using all channels for recruiting, but one thing that we try to do is everybody that wants to hire and sell, we try to get them all doing the same thing. So instead of me running 20 Craigslist ads myself, if I run 2, Ben runs 2, and then we have 20 other super sharp people, they run 2 in a day, and we have 40 Craigslist ads that day going out, and then we follow up I follow up with these guys every week. So we do about 5 different conference calls with everybody that's actually reinvesting every week, and we go through what could we do better, how did it go, what happened, and we go through some of the stuff where like it's normal for people to go through, but they don't know it's normal, so we address it. So for example, they go, well, it feels like I'm not getting anybody selling, and we'll address it. So one thing that we've done is instead of me recruiting you or hiring you, I just go, hey, Shawn, we know one thing for sure, you want to get paid as fast as possible. And they go, yeah, that's true. And I go, okay, so instead of us wasting 3 months on trying to figure out what you're going to do, if this is going to work out for you or not, we're going to get you dialing today. We're going to get you booking appointments today. And so what I've learned is time kills everything. And I always relate, like, if somebody close to me dies, I value life so much the following, like, few weeks. I'm like, man, I don't need to complain about anything. I have everything I want. And then slowly over time, I go, man, I have a flat tire today. My life sucks, you know? Yeah. And I think about an agent being excited to sell. We have to get them actually making money right away. That's my goal. Because if they get a deposit, then that throws gas on the fire to motivate them.
What are some of the things you're doing to help them get a deposit quick? With the agent in particular.
Okay, so what I do is I encourage them to buy leads, and sometimes, not all the time, I'll go, hey, I'll invest with you depending on the situation.
Yeah.
I go, I'll put in a little bit, but if you buy leads, I'll put in a little bit. I tell people to buy a lot of leads because I want them to have a lot of practice. So instead of telling them to buy 30, where I think they'll buy 20, I go, hey, you need to buy 50 to 60 leads every single week. If you don't have the money, you got to find out where to get the money because you probably do have it, but you might need to cut a few things out. I personally got rid of cable. I never ate out. I packed my lunch. I did all these things to come up with the money for me to have leads and go out and start selling. So do that. And then a lot of times I'll buy them older leads and say, hey, don't worry about these. Call them all. And then let's talk tomorrow and see how many you booked. And a lot of times the main concern for an agent is I don't know the products. Every single person is I don't know the products. So I tell them up front, I go, I know you're going to tell me you don't know the products, but it's normal, and there's so many products. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. If you tried to learn all of them, you'll drown. So what you're going to do is you're going to focus on booking appointments, and then I'm going to train you exactly what to do to go into that home on every single appointment. And what they do is at the end of the day, they send me an email, and it says, hey, I'm meeting with these people. They're this old. This is the health conditions I heard they have. What product should I write? And I can respond and go, Eagle Premier, this is why, and do that a couple times, and they start to figure it out.
Here's the funny, like, that's perfect, and that's awesome. We were doing $800,000 a month a lifetime ago. You know what our training product was? Seriously. We know what it was? I'd go, Ben, you're going to ask me products. you sitting down? We have two kinds. Final expense, it's whole life, premium never changes, goes till the day they die. $87 a month, it's $87 a month. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You have any questions about that? It'd be weird if you did. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, so you'll put in smoker, not male, female, age, computer, now you all have the phone, spits out the price. That's the price. Now EAP, it's even different. So you got that one down, right? Because that would be pretty basic. Okay. Second one's mortgage protection. And I know you know this, but I need you to hear how simple we were. You're going to give them a price where they get all their money back because that's the best product. Okay. Then you're going to look at the numbers. So if it's $100 a month, $1,200 a year, $12,000 every 10 years, at the end of 30 years, you get $36,000 back. Die in the interim, they get their $200,000 or whatever, $250,000, whatever the face amount is. There's some other riders in there. I'm not a huge fan. Like the stuff that comes with it, I take it. I don't sell stuff to just sell it. Return of premium. Now we have a critical illness, like with America's built in, right? So it's like it's a home run. It's a great product, but that's it. Now, as you start getting out there, the minute you want to grab a hold of your lack of product knowledge to talk about why you didn't close a deal, you're going to remember how simple this is, right?
Right.
Because you speak now for hold your peace. Like do you have any questions? No, I don't. Got it. Does that make sense? Like that's bad. I mean, listen, we need to have, but what we did was we created an environment of people figuring it out. You know, and then it was like, this guy's heart disease, diabetes, cancer, like, you know, again, he gave him some of the big ones. And then now with the app, you just do it.
Easy.
Yeah, you tell it. So I like that up front. Because if you don't do it up front, kind of like with leads, and I think encouraging me to do more too. I think I always laugh too. Like when I got my license, I drove a Honda Accord that had 227,000 miles on it. 227,000. That was my only car. And I lived in a 2-bedroom house, and I have 2 kids, male and female. A bedroom for them, couch for me. But it was a place, tiny little place. Wasn't the greatest area. I know that for a fact because my neighbor got murdered one day. So I was like, it wasn't like an accident. Like it wasn't like, they were like random. I'm like, no, I locked the doors and wasn't the great. But it's what I could afford to then try to put my children in a better place. So I always kind of laugh. People like, can't afford the leads. I'm like, but you got a new car. And I'm not saying don't buy a new car. I'm just saying you do whatever you want to do with your money. It's your money. You're an independent contractor. But I was always worried about getting me profitable first and then having enough before I started going ahead and doing stuff that I thought was going to make me, you know, what I wanted to buy or I wanted to do stuff too. I wanted to take the kids' place 100%. But I took care of this first. And I wanted to really overwhelm it. So I had money put aside, paying taxes, doing all that. I was much more about paying my taxes than having a new car or a new watch or a new outfit. The IRS makes me much more nervous than the fashion police are going to say I don't have a nice suit. They're going to talk about how I'm dressed. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. That's another gift I teach the agents. Nobody can judge you. And we say it all the time, but I mean, nobody can judge you. I mean, I know what I believe in. God can judge me. No human being can judge me. I can't judge another human being. That being said, who cares what you say? As long as you're doing the right thing by somebody trying to help with life insurance, who cares if they don't like it? I mean, you're not doing the wrong thing. So why does it matter? If you're not building or are building or trying, who cares? At the end of the day, that's how I survive. I do any talks in front of groups I've never met. It's the first time I go to insurance carriers because they don't know what to do. I'm like, just want to make sure we're all on the same page. I will not be offended by anything y'all. And they're like, no, we wouldn't be offended. I'm like, no, I don't care what any of you think. There's no part of me, not even in my fingernail, my pinky, that's concerned about your opinion because I'm just going to do what's right by the company. If you like it, great. If you don't, fine. But I can't be. That's what I'm just going to be here to help you, just like the accountant would be with taxes. If I said I don't want to write that down and include it, her job's to go, you could get audited, owe a bunch of money, and actually be arrested. That's a bad program. Like people go to jail for tax fraud. You don't want to go to jail for tax fraud, but being assertive. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I love what you're talking about. How much we got? Any more time? We getting close?
We have
what do we got?
1 minute.
I don't want to be over. Okay, so I get my buddies on. So Jack is a working machine. Fair enough. How many hours a week do you think he works?
60, 70 hours. Okay.
How much do you issue a year?
400, third year in a row, over.
A lot of money. Jack will be the first one, and Jack's not closing 95% of his appointments. No, Jack knocked down 50, 60%. Fair enough, probably. So for those of you I just need to find a way to get to 90% or find a way to work 40 hours a week. Just find a way to work full time. Trey's killing it, right? So I love what you guys are doing. I'm really proud of you. I really appreciate what you do for everybody in the country. We have a lot of amazing groups all over the country. I love everybody. I love what they're all doing. We did some great training the last couple of days here, and we want to do more of this. So, like, if you have an office and you want us to do Next Level Live there, we'll do it. As long as you're growing and you're pushing and we're training and we're getting people ready to get to and getting them paid.
Yeah.
Because that is your job. Your obligation is getting paid. My obligation when I raise my kids is to put them in the best possible position to win. When I hire agents, my obligation is to put them in the best possible position to win. That's it. However I get there but I can't mislead you. You've got to be in a position to win. You know, and the truth sometimes stings for people. They need to hear it. They have to know it. You know, I think that people I'll leave you with this. I was on a call the other day. My son's going to be a sophomore. And he's not unlike a lot of other kids. Yes, he's good. He's very talented. He's very athletic. And he's talking to this recruiter who called him. And he's like, we're talking, and he's got helps, whatever. And he's asking Trevor what he wants to do in college. Well, Trevor wants to play at Auburn, Mississippi, the best schools, not even just Division I, the best schools in the country. And what I say to him is, dude, you can shoot for whatever you want. But at some point in time, the rubber will meet the road. If you're 6'3", 220 pounds, or 190 pounds, I should say, and you're throwing the ball 92 miles an hour, 94 miles an hour, left-handed, then it's a different program. If you don't grow much from where you are now, but I'm always gonna shoot you straight. And the guy was like, I wish more parents would say that to their kids because they all mislead them and tell them they're all going to be drafted tomorrow. And then they're like, I can't believe it. They're mad at the process. Then they don't go to college at all because they weren't just told the truth. Like, this is a better school for you. That one's not going to work for you, you know? Yeah. It's all yours, Jack, Trey, Andrew, thank you. Ben, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Great place. You got it, man. Thank you. So it's all yours, guys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Yu. I'm with FFL Financial, and I'm excited to be here and share with you my experiences at Family First Life. I've been in the industry for about 10 years, and my first couple of experiences were not perfect. It was very difficult for me to get traction, but we started this company about 5 years ago, and a lot has changed. The first couple of companies I worked at were at a totally different level as far as the ability to help families because they didn't have the leads that we have here. I think that's one thing that's been instrumental in helping me hit my goals, my sales goals, which is now I'm running about 25 appointments a week, and I'm able to pay $40,000 a month consistently with the help of resources in the form of leads. Another big difference to my bottom line is commission. I've worked at other companies before, and I started off in the industry somewhere around a 40, 45 comp. The last company I worked at years ago started me at 55, and I had to work for a couple, 3 years to work my way up to an 80. And we're starting people off at an 80% comp. Our top comp's 140. I'm excited to say that with that sales experience that I bring to the table, I'm able to share that with my group, and it's a very natural crossover for us to build an organization because we're confident that we're able to go out and help families on a regular basis, and helping other people reach their goals is probably the most rewarding part of what I do right now, in addition to helping families. So don't take it from me. Come on out and visit us and see what we have to offer, and we welcome you to join our team.
All right, everybody, this is Trey Honeycutt. Thanks for joining the Next Level Live. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Thanks for having me. I want to thank Shawn, Meaike, the home office staff, Andrew Taylor, Paul McLean for you guys introducing me to the business. And I'm super excited to share with you. I'm Trey Honeycutt, Family First Life Coast to Coast, and I'm super excited to share with you some things that I've learned over the course of the last few years that I think are really beneficial that I could pass on specifically to new agents. You know, one of the things with me is I feel like I've done a really good job of being able to continually relate to new agents. In my mind, in a lot of ways, I still feel like a brand new agent. I have a long way to go. I certainly haven't figured this whole thing out. I like to think I am making good progress, but I definitely can relate to the person just getting started that isn't really sure if this is going to work out for them or not. And what I've done is I've written down some things that I want to share with you that have really been instrumental in allowing me to stay focused in the business, that have allowed me to be consistent and persistent over time, and really keep a good attitude about everything. Because one of the things you're going to learn in this business is you get paid by the size of the problems that you can solve. And you put the cans on the bottom and you put the bread on top. That's a small problem. You don't get paid a lot for that. But when you start dealing with some of the things that we deal with, specifically building an agency and dealing with people, when you can start solving people problems, you can get paid a lot of money for that. And so there's some things that are kind of intrinsic inside of this business that I want to share with you that I think if you just keep your focus right, I think 10% of this business is really skill set. The other 90% really is just mindset. And so the goal, if you're brand new, really all we're trying to do is just take you from a place of high anxiety and low knowledge to low anxiety and high knowledge. We just want to give you clarity and confidence. And so a lot of people, like when I first started out, they gave me a stack of older leads and they said, call these. And I was expecting to get a lot of product training and all these other things. And I didn't get that because I think what Andrew Taylor understood early on was that activity is the mother of all learning and repetition is the mother of all skill. And so what that means is that you learn by doing and you get better by doing it again. And so a small portion of this business really is product knowledge. A vast majority of it is just getting on the phone and doing the dials and getting into activity. And one of the things that I learned from John Wetmore early on in the business was he talked about the year that he went Hall of Fame as a Hall of Fame producer. He said that his goal that year was he understood that 25% of the people that you go see are going to buy no matter what. Like there's people that you could call a 3-year-old lead, you call it, and they'll let you come over. And when you get there, they'll have like 6 other insurance policies, and they'll buy yours too, and they'll keep them all. And they don't even have a lot of income, and it'll freak you out. And I swear it's like 25% of the people. So what John said is he said, look, if I could just close 25% of the people, if I saw 1,000 people over the course of the year, which is like 20 people a week, right? And I closed 25% of them, then that year I should be able to do $250,000 in issue paid premium. And that was his goal. He said, this year I'm going to do $250,000, which was double what he had done the year before. And if the average premium was like $80 a month, that's like 1,000 AP, 25%, that's $250,000 over the course of the year. He thought he had it figured out. Now, what a lot of people do is they try to quantify this business. They say, hey, if I buy $300 worth of leads, I sell this much. Then I'll buy $600 worth of leads and I'll sell twice as much. And the truth is, it doesn't really work like that because what you don't equate for is momentum and getting better. Here's what John Wetmore told me. He said, look, over the course of that year, by August, I was already at $250,000. You say, you know why? So why? He said, because I didn't account for momentum in getting better. And it's the same thing with you. You can't account for that. The only thing we can do is get you from step A to step B. Like people want to wait until all the lights turn green before they leave the house. And what we're trying to say is go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll be able to see further. Like you don't have to have it all figured out. I just know that if you go see people and you keep showing up and you do it with a good attitude, then it'll work out and you'll get better at it and you'll consistently get better at it. And the numbers will exponentially grow. It's not just a factor of I buy this many leads to sell this much. I buy this many leads to sell this much. I do this many appointments. This happens. If I double it, I sell twice as much. Like I asked Paul McLean one year, I said, Paul, for me to double my production, I got to do twice as many appointments. He goes, no, you don't. You just need to do like 20% more appointments. And there was so much wisdom in that because what he was talking about was momentum and getting better. Consistent, persistent effort over time will yield the result that you're looking for. People, however, what they want to do is they want to measure. Now, one of the things that we've done a really good job of in Family First Life is we've given you a roadmap. We've done a good job of a lot of things. It's been an incredible success. We certainly haven't scratched the surface yet. I like to say we haven't even scratched the scratch yet. There's a lot of growth. This will be a $1 billion company. When Shawn Meaike says that, I believe it. I don't think it's even that big yet, but we've made incredible inroads and success into the profession. And a lot of people are looking at us like we're really leading the way in so many different areas. But the thing that I wanted to tell you before I got off on that little tangent that I just got off on is that we've done a good job of helping people understand what it looks like to be successful selling. Structured schedule. Mondays you dial for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Thursdays you dial for Friday and Saturday. If you don't hit your production goal, you're working on Sundays as well. And doing that consistent and persistent over time, that'll yield you the results that you're looking for. We've done a phenomenal job of beating the drum and saying, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. On the hiring side of the business, though, I don't know that we've really defined what it looks like to have a successful day in building an agency. And so one of the things we've done in our group is we've taken on the banner of trying to define what that looks like. And here's what I want you to ask yourself at the end of the day. If you can ask yourself, if at the end of the day, if everybody in my agency did what I did today, would it be a successful day? Well, whenever you can go to sleep at night and the answer to that question is yes, like if everybody did what I did, it would be successful, then you're on the right track. You can close the book on the day and start again tomorrow. And then just consistent and persistent over time, follow that same track of activity. So the roadmap that we give our agents is we tell them, look, all we want you to do is take 2 people a day from not knowing about Family First Life to knowing about Family First Life. Now I'm talking about the agency building part of the business. Now, if you had 2 5-minute conversations with people to explain Family First Life, who we are, what we do, how we do it, how we get paid, where we get leads from, and you did that twice a day, and it took you 5 minutes. Better yet, what I like to do is I like to just be the 30-second commercial and send people to the feature film. Now, the feature film is the Shawn Meaike video where he's sitting at his desk and he's talking about what we do at Family First Life. It's like the first one ever done. You find it on YouTube. If you sent 2 people to that a day, just with the intention of taking them from not knowing to knowing about Family First, and you did that, say, 5 days a week, that's 10 people a week. You did that 50 weeks out of the year. 500 people from not knowing to knowing. What are the odds at the end of the year you wouldn't contract 50 agents? I mean, really, don't you think like 10% of them, if they know the good, bad, and the ugly, like we got to drive to appointments, we got to buy leads. Some people say no. Some people say heck no. Some people say, yeah, I really want it. They call you on the way and say they don't, on the way home. People cancel. Good, bad, and ugly. You make $1,000 if you sell an $80 policy, like just stuff like that. Not too high, not too low, just real matter of fact, and just I don't know what the right word is for it. I think the right word is just not too high or not too low. Like I'm not spazzing out talking about how great it is, and I'm not talking about how hard it is either. I'm just being real mellow about the whole situation and letting the chips fall where they may. I'm looking for the ones that want to do it. I'm looking for the ones that want to work with me. I'm not handling objections. I'm not trying to talk people into doing it. I'm just looking for the people that, like, I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I know how I'm going to get there. And I'm looking for the people that'll believe that and follow. That's it. And I'm just going to stay consistent and persistent and do the same thing every day. Now, if you consistently did that over the course of a year, what are the odds you couldn't find 50 people that want to do it with you? And out of those 50 people, what are the odds you couldn't find 5 people after 365 days that could go out and write $20,000 in a month? Now, you understand that would make you a senior sales manager, right? Now, if you say consistent and persistent and you continue to do that, people do what they see you do, not what you say. They do what you do. So if you're just steady Eddie and you're consistent and you're not changing all the time, and the story's always the same, the fundamentals are the fundamentals, run, tackle, block, catch. I'm saying the same story every single week, the same boring, mundane. I'm not looking for a new idea. I'm not looking I'm just consistent. And a big part of consistency, by the way, is warm market. We're going to get into that. But all I'm doing is taking people from not knowing to knowing, not trying to talk them into it, find the ones that want to run with me. I'm going to run with the runners. I'm going to walk with the walkers. I'm going to let the chips fall where they may, and I'm not going to deviate from it. I'm still writing business. Like I said, how long does it take to have 2 10-minute conversations a day? It takes 20 minutes a day. Could you do 20 minutes a day? See, one of the things that I had to get my mind around when I started, because my whole goal in the beginning was I was just going to sell insurance. I had no interest in building an agency or being responsible for people or any of that. Like I had all these misconceptions about what it would look like to build an agency. And one of the things that I realized early on is if 100% of my income is based on me, what if I get hurt? What if I get sick? You know, what if something happens? I don't really have a business. I just have a sales gig. Like one of the things we talk about for 2019 is all in, you know, are you all in? What I would submit to you is people really aren't all in this business. 3 things have to happen to get all in, by the way. The first thing, when you hire an agent, the thing that'll do more for that agent than any amount of training that you can do or anything is just for them to get a deposit. When they get a deposit from Americo, they're a lot more in than you practicing their phone script with them 75 times. Like the number one thing we could do is just help people get a deposit. Activity is the mother of all learning. Repetition is the mother of all skill. If I could just get them to take action, to act their way into feeling, and just understand that 25% of the time, if they just show up, people are going to buy anyway, and I get them to move and they get a deposit, that deposit will elevate their business 50-fold more than I could ever do with any sort of inspirational talk. Or there's nothing I could do that's more valuable than a new agent getting a deposit. Okay. So first thing they have to have is they have to get a deposit. The second thing that has to happen, I believe, is they need to hire an agent. I believe once you hire an agent, that really does a lot for your business because it takes it from being a sales gig to being a business, right? Kind of takes it from being just that self-employed salesperson to being more like a business owner. And there's something that happens. There's just something that happens when that occurs that takes it from your head to your heart. I can't really explain what it is. And then the third thing that has to happen to be all in is you have to be at a major event. You know, the National Conference in Las Vegas, that's going to be a huge event. People really aren't sold until they get to that. They're really not in. They're just giving you permission to hire them over and over and over until those 3 things are accomplished, right? They have to get a deposit, they need to hire somebody themselves, and then you get to one of the major events. And so that's really my main goal. When I'm looking to hire people, a lot of people think of this like I contracted so-and-so. My work here is done. They're either going to do it or they're not. No, that's not true. They're probably not going to do it. I mean, like the only thing you've really gotten when you got somebody contracted is you just got an excuse to follow up with them. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter. Like this is a business about relationship and trust. And you have to create a certain amount of trust before people actually take action and follow. Like in the beginning, when I started, I had major trust issues. I didn't think people were really making money. I thought all the policies canceled and, you know, I didn't really know. I didn't know if I could trust anybody. But over time, because I stayed around, I built trust and my belief built, and I was able to go out there and take action more aggressively. And then I was able to share it with other people. And it's been a process. Like I've been recruited and hired into the business 1,000 times. I've quit 1,000 times. I've started 1,001. Like there's 2 things you have to have, a good sense of humor and a bad memory. So what happens with me is I got a bad memory. So I'll quit like on Thursday night. And then Andrew would send me a text about the next level call. Be like, you need to be on there. I'm like, oh, I got to be on the next level call. I get on the next level call. I get all fired up again. I'm like, I'm in. Woo! Wait, I thought I'd quit. Oh, well, you know, I better run my appointments, you know, and that's happened like every single week for 4 years. I've just consistently quit like by like Wednesday. And then I showed up to dial on Thursday and then the cycle continues. I get on the next level call. I get excited again and I keep going. And so if that's you, you're not schizophrenic. That's normal. That's the way it's supposed to be. And so, so that's that. And the other thing I want to share with you is, okay, so this is an interesting story. So Harvard University a number of years ago did a study about weight loss. And the goal of this study was they were going to determine which type of diet would result in the most weight loss long term. Okay. And so what they did is they said, we're going to look at the high protein diet with no carbs. We're going to look at the zone diet, you know, where you know, it's a balanced portion of carbohydrates and fats and protein. We're going to look at just a high carb diet with no protein. We're going to look at a high fat diet with protein and no carbs. And so they took these different types of diets and they prescribed it to about, I believe there were 4,000 people in the study over the course of about 2 years. And what they discovered is that at the end of the 2 years, the people that had adhered to that eating regimen, regardless of what the regimen was, the average weight loss sustained over the course of 2 years was about 10 pounds. You say, oh my goodness. Now, which one was the best one? They were all within like a few ounces of each other consistently, right? And so in this study, and I'll email it to you if you want to see it, it's really interesting. The researcher at the end of the study had made a comment that the group that actually performed the best was the group that had support, meaning they had a trainer, they went to Weight Watchers meetings, they went to meetings, that type of thing. And what he said was that that group resulted in about a 22.5 pound weight loss over the course of 2 years, regardless of what eating regimen they were on. And so that's a 225% advantage. You say, what's that got to do with insurance? Because the people with the support group had a 225% chance higher of succeeding than the ones that didn't. And that's the same with everything else. Like, your goal in this business should be to stay close to the fire. Like, if you succeed at this business, it's because of you. And if you fail at the business, it's going to be because of you. So you can't blame us, and we're not going to take credit when you win. You can't blame us when you lose. And we're not going to take all the credit when you win either. But the thing that you can do to dramatically increase your odds of succeeding is to stay close to the fire, to stay close to the environment. That's something that you have to resist the urge not to do that. In the beginning, the most common text message I would get from Andrew Taylor was, "Are you alive?" Because I wasn't communicating. I wasn't staying close to the fire. He had to keep me close to the fire. He had to reach out to me and pull me and prod me. I was very much motivatable. I wasn't self-motivated. I wasn't a game changer. I was a caretaker. And he was reaching out consistently and just kind of prodding me to stay plugged in. Now, once I started staying plugged in, everything changed. Because this is more about, if you can manage your environment and stay structured with it and get around people that see this the way you see it and are consistently moving toward where they want to go with a good attitude, and you can stay around those people, it's a lot easier to do this. The hardest thing to do in this business is do it by yourself. Like, I've never dialed. I have never dialed by myself. I don't know how. I hate dialing by myself. I can't do it. I have to dial somebody else around. I have to dial live, or people are watching on Facebook, or other people around. Right now, it's my wife. She's around. She watches me. You know, she watches her Real Housewives of whatever with her headphones in. And if I stop dialing, she's like, "Hey." You know, and I get back to dialing because I don't want to let her down. But if it's just me, I won't do that. I always have to dial with somebody else around. And so this is a big part of this business is environment. You know, one of the things I ask people is I'll say, you know, how many people have ever been to a bar? You know, when we do the summer sales conference, I do this, you know, whatever sales conference, spring, summer, fall, whatever. And, you know, everybody raise their hand. Have you been to a bar? How many people have ever had a drink at a bar? And everybody raise their hand. Now I go, all right, well, how many people have ever been to church? A bunch of people raise their hand. I'm like, well, how many people have ever had a drink in church? And then, like, there's always one. There's always one guy in the back. I did, you know. But there's always one. But it's funny because in your environment matters. Like, it's hard to do the wrong thing in the right environment. So you have to get good at really circling the wagon and getting close to the fire and staying close and being around the people that are actually doing it. And so when I started, you know, the thing I love about Family First Life is you don't get popular here by politics. You only get popular here by production. That doesn't mean you can't hang out. Like Paul McLean and Andrew Taylor, they were always really welcoming to me. But a lot of that was the fact that I never came in and like gave advice about anything. I just showed up. I just show up like, I'm here. I'm going to dial. Great. I didn't give any ideas. I didn't tell them how to do it better. Somebody said, Paul, how do you overcome think about it objection? I just listen to Paul. Like I wouldn't jump in and say, oh, this is how I do it. No, I just, oh, that's good, and I just listen. Yeah. I think a lot of agents, what they want to come in is they want to assert themselves like they're an authority. They're brand new. Like you haven't done anything yet. Just hang out. It's okay to be new. Just be part of the group and be happy. Dial, set your appointments. And so I think that's the key. 225% advantage, having a support group, having a workout partner, somebody that you can run with, a run buddy in the field. That helps a ton. Find somebody who's about at your level, maybe a little bit better, and just talk about your day with them. Find out, hey, that person got no-show too. They still submitted 10 grand for the week. That person, they had to dial for 8 hours on Thursday too. So they set their appointment goal. And then that way you're not by yourself. I think that's really critical to having success in the business. Now, as far as hiring goes, I think people have a misconception. Like they think that in order to build a big agency, that you have to go out and you have to issue a gazillion dollars by yourself immediately. That has not been my experience. What my experience has been is I just want to take people from not knowing to knowing and do that consistently over time. And what I found is the more you do it, the luckier you'll get if you just do it consistently. And one of the big wastes of time, though, that people run into in the business is just spending their time with the wrong people. And so what you'll find is 60% of the time, the people that you're talking to, that you're trying to talk into it, you need to just let those ones go. Because if you talk somebody into it, you got to talk them into doing something. And it makes you feel like you're going to die and you're losing your mind. That's not healthy. It's really hard to consistently run business with a good attitude when you got a bunch of people dragging you down. Like I can run with 1,000 people. I can run with 1,000 people. Even if they're running faster than me because I'm overweight, like I could still be on the road running, walking. I could be power walking on the road with 1,000 people, but I can't run. I can't even walk with 2 people on my back. And what happens is 60% of the time, the people you're talking to, they don't really want to do it anyway. Just let them say no. That's why I never get too excited about it. I'm indifferent. That's what I am. I'm indifferent. I believe in everybody. Everybody can do it because there's nothing special. Like we call leads, we go see people that want to get help with insurance, we help them. That's it. Like there's not 25% of the time they'll buy it anyway, regardless of who you are. 25% of the time they won't buy it from anybody. Like Mother Teresa could walk in, they ain't going to buy it from her either. It's just the way it works. Those are the people that God put in the way to test your resolve in insurance. And like the ones after that appointment, those are usually the ones that buy a lot. And so the goal is, can you just keep your attitude right to get to the next one? And then the other 50% of the time, that's the one where it's going to take, skill and you can get better and you learn from the podcast and being on the trainings and going to the business development meetings and the trainings and being involved. And so I can run with 1,000, but I can't carry 2 on my back. I don't want to talk anybody into it. 27 out of 100 people, 27 out of 100 people. I think that's right. Yeah, 27 out of 100 people. Those are going to be people that are motivatable. Those are people that are going to be in one day, out the next. In one day, out the next. In one day, out the next. Those are people you got to continually recruit. So those are the people that you're texting to get on the calls. Those are the people that are calling you from the house one day, and then the next week they don't run appointments, but then you promote the next training and they show up to that. They're in and out. Eventually those people, as long as they don't drive you crazy, if you've hired the right ones and you like them and they're not a thorn in your side, they can be in and out for a little bit. It's normal. 10% of the people are going to be self-motivated, which means like 1 out of 10 is going to do it with or without you. And I think that's where most people get. They're like, I get about 1 out of 10 to write. Well, that's because you're just getting the ones that are self-motivated. They're not doing it with your influence or not. That's kind of like the 25% that'll buy, regardless of like, you could be the 7th person in the house to buy from you too, right? So there's 1 out of 10 that's going to do it whether you do it or not, right? And then there's about 3% of the people, which is 3 out of 100, that are really the motivators. And those are the people that will go on and build a dynasty, that will go on and build a huge agency. And that's what you have to keep in mind. Now, if you've never hired 100 people, you're not going to find the one. You're not going to find the 10 that are self-motivated, right? Because you haven't hired enough. So you need to have the proper expectations in the business. Just take people from not knowing to knowing. Be consistent and persistent about it. You'll find the right ones. You cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. There was really nothing Andrew could do to run me off. I wanted to do it. I knew there was going to be chargebacks. You know, I knew there was going to be people tell me no. I knew I had to put a lot of miles on my car. I knew I was going to have to work hard. I mean, you know, all the stuff. I wanted to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, believe it or not, like I can't go back to modeling. There's a lot of things I can't do. I don't have a lot of options. So for this, like I can't drive for Uber. I'm a horrible driver. So that wouldn't work. So I had to get insurance to work. And the truth is, I just really wanted to do the business. I enjoy it. I like it. And I had resolved in my mind that I was going to figure it out. And so I hope that helps. That's really what I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much for having me on the call. We do have the summer sales conferences in full swing. I encourage you to get out to the next one, look at the Family First Life Facebook page for the events near you, and take advantage of that 225% advantage of getting the support and staying close to the fire, because that'll make all the difference in the business. Have a good one.